Morning Majority on 630.
8:07 on the Morning Majority. Brian Neiman, Matt Lewis from the Daily Caller in this morning. Thanks for coming in, Matt.
Well, thank you for having me.
I think you made the point that the temperatures should always go up during the afternoon, not go down during the afternoon.
What's up with that, right?
It's unfair.
Okay.
Formal protest has been duly noted from you. Captain Chuck Nash joins us now, retired U.S. Navy captain, Fox News military analyst. Captain Nash, good morning. Thanks for joining us. We appreciate your time.
You bet, Brian. Nice to be with you.
France and Britain are now calling for NATO to beef up bombing runs. In your mind, is NATO doing enough, and is France and Britain right?
Well, I think we've overstretched. We're out in front of ourselves here, and when I say we, I'm using the royal we here, the French and the Brits. The problem is there's not enough known about what's going on the ground. There's mass confusion down there. And from the air, when you're trying to target things, what you need is good targeting information. I mean, the weapons are very accurate as long as you know where to put them. So getting that targeting information requires eyes on target, and the best way to do that is to put somebody on the ground in a direct support role calling in that fire. And what you see in Libya on the news clips and what you're hearing about from reports there are these forces running around in pink rooftop vehicles, and then Gaddafi's people paint his vehicles pink, and everybody's running around, and it's just like a little ant swarm down there.
I'm a non-military man, I'll tell you that right up front, but when I hear that France and Britain, they want to beef up bombing runs by NATO, that means they're concerned that they're losing the war, or at least that Gaddafi is getting stronger. Am I wrong about that?
No, it appears that things are definitely trending in Gaddafi's favor. He's moving further to the east. He's retaking a lot of these towns. The rebels are not trained. They're a bunch of people who are angry. They have weapons, and they think this is their moment to overthrow a very brutal dictator. So off they went. They caught Tunisian fever, started charging west, and the next thing you know, Gaddafi's regular forces come pushing back, and he's recaptured most of the oil rich part of the country, which is in the, quote, rebel east. So he's not going to give that up. That's his future economic lifeline.
Another story that hasn't gotten much attention, I don't think, is UN forces have arrested the Ivory Coast strongman Bagbel, and I guess the French are pushing this. Is this something that America could ultimately be drawn into as well?
I hope not, because that's another mess, and the United States has a full plate right now, and we're looking at making further military cuts. So the to-do list can't get any bigger than it is right now, and most of those colonies down there in Africa were either French, British, or Italian colonies in the first place. They've now since then gained their independence and everything, but those countries, those European powers, still have significant ties back into their former colonies.
Well, our to-do list also includes Pakistan, and the Pakistan government has demanded that we reduce the number of CIA operatives, special operations, including drone strikes, which we've had some success with. How big of a blow is that to our war on terrorism in Pakistan and Afghanistan, for that matter?
Well, the drone strikes, the UAV strikes, are really just bringing in the firepower. The earlier part of your question really is where the rubber meets the road, and that is who's putting the eyes on target so that the UAV operators know where to dispense those weapons. If the Pakistanis are saying that there are CIA and other people on the ground, then that gives you one part of the clue on where the targeting is coming from. There are electronic means of doing targeting as well. But if you reduce the ability for us to take out the key leadership that are hiding out in that northwest Pakistan frontier area, which is a sanctuary right across the border from Afghanistan, that's not good, because at least we could start attriting the leadership to keep the organization in flux and keep them moving around and restrict their communications. If we can't take those people out anymore, then the communications are going to become more robust as they realize that they're in a sanctuary, that the Pakistanis aren't prosecuting them as a threat, and that just makes things more difficult on the other side of the border in Afghanistan, where we are.
I don't know if you can even answer this question, but how much do we need Pakistan's blessing in order to have CIA agents or special ops on the ground in Pakistan?
Well, you don't want the bad guys looking for them, and you don't want the Pakistani government looking for them. You want as few number of people looking for them as possible. So I wouldn't. I don't know that I'd poke a stick in the Pakistani government's eye.
All right. Back to Libya for a second. The foreign minister there, or former foreign minister, Musa Kusa, who has been talking with the Brits for quite some time, is apparently traveling to Qatar today to share his insight on the workings of Gaddafi. Do you see any chance that somehow Gaddafi could be talked out of power, that somehow somebody could get to him and they could work out a deal where he leaves the country?
That would be totally dependent on Gaddafi's belief that anyone would honor such a deal, given the international political pressure against him. I don't think he would.
Right. So, the only hope then is military.
I think the only hope is someone on his in his camp to take him out, or a strike of some sort to take him out, because the United States and many of the countries in the West have already said one of the deals is Gaddafi goes.
Right.
Okay. Well, either he's going to walk out under his umbrella in some ridiculous trip to Shangri-La, which I just don't think he's going to do that, because he knows he looks at what happened in Bosnia, Kosovo, and Serbia. How the International Court up in The Hague dealt with those matters, and he's done far worse. So what can he expect logically?
Yeah. Now we have a presidential election coming up sooner than we probably even really imagine, and I've always thought that in addition to the economy, that foreign policy will play a part in it. Looking sort of, it's unpredictable, but what do you think is the danger zone for President Obama? I mean, is it Iraq? Is it Afghanistan, Pakistan? What do you think is the area where he really needs to be careful in terms of his reelection?
I think any incumbent president facing an election has to look across the entire world stage. And the old question that was asked during the Reagan run, which is, are things better than they were 4 years ago?
Right. But overall,
they're decidedly more conflicted.
But overall, I mean, I know a lot of people in the military were queasy about doing this in Libya. Is there a lesson so far as we look at this has kind of gone into a stalemate, and Gaddafi may stay in power, and we say he's got to go, but we're not going to use military force to take him out? Is there a lesson that we've learned from this, or did we already know the lesson going in?
No, that lesson was learned many, many times over, and that is basically have a good plan going in, have the right forces and command structure in place, and know in the end game what it is you're trying to accomplish.
And we had pretty much none of that going into Libya.
It doesn't appear that way.
Yeah. All right. Captain Chuck Nash, great to have you on the show. We appreciate your insights.